All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing good out there. Thank you for tuning in. Just a fun little short video today on why 380 sucks. Yes, it sucks. It does. It sucks. Okay. And then also too, we're going to talk about why you should case gauge your ammo, which is got an example here basically on the table of why you should always case gauge and check your work when you finished reloading any cartridge that you do. Okay, case gauges are one data point you can use to help facilitate that. So we'll talk about that here in a sec. But one thing we do have on the table is a little preview for something coming up here soon. I'm working on a video for it, so I don't know what day that's going to drop, but it looks like some nice weather next week where I can get some filming in and get the video out for you guys. But I think you'll have a little bit of fun with it. Something a little bit different to get you thinking about some stuff and all that. And I think you can tell what it is right here on the table. Of course, we won't show you anything that YouTube considers dirty. Obviously, we're going to stay all nice and clean on it. But, you know, you guys will have fun with that. And then also with our main project here, we are, before I get into everything else, we have one more video dropping on our power pistol and 124 grain bullets. So stay tuned for that. I should be able to shoot that also with the nice weather that we have coming up. It's basically finished, but we just have one more video to do with some different firearms, and I think you guys will like that. And then we'll be moving on to a new 9mm project. So that's what's coming up. So the main thing here, why does 380 suck? Well, the big issue why 380 sucks is, well, it is kind of a weak cartridge and all that sort of thing. Yeah, you know, we kind of get that. But if the big problem I kind of find with it is that it doesn't really offer you anything more than 9mm, and I'm just kind of like trying to look for the upside on it. And the big issue that I have with it is that when you're reloading in bulk, you know, with something like, let's say 9mm, I've got 6,000 cases that I've prepped, and you have 380 brass that has kind of worked its way in there. It is a real pain in the ass to kind of deal with. And the issue is that basically they have similar case mount dimensions, and then also too, the cases, they're not exact, but you know, basically it's 2mm off or so, I believe. But it's close enough that if you're kind of looking at a distance, a lot of times these 380 cases, it's easy for them to kind of intermingle with the 9mm brass. And so in this case, what ended up happening, oh, here I am checking right now. In this case, what ended up happening with me was I bought a bunch of range brass from a company that, you know, basically gets them off a commercial range or whatever and processes them. And, you know, apparently they're not really supposed to have any 380 in there. But in the process of cleaning these and swaging these on the Lee app press, I ended up finding a bunch of 380 cases in here. Even with that, though, and then also the other thing, too, was on my range, I'll tell you this, is I actually banned 380 from my range. But I did make one exception. Is someone I know, they have a Walther PPK. So, you know, if you're bringing James Bond's gun, okay, cool. So we shot that. So some pieces from there ended up basically in the mix. Now, as I went through and I swaged this and all that, culled plenty of pieces of 380 out of here. However, even despite all that and cleaning it, swaging it, running it through that Lee automatic processing press, there are still pieces of 380 that I have discovered on their way to the progressive press to get loaded. Okay, so far out of this bin right here, we're getting about halfway down on it. I have found 5 pieces that basically I was able to cut off right before I installed them on the press to get loaded. So not too happy about that. Now here's the other thing. One piece actually did make it through and get loaded. Now, here's the thing. When I look at it, I immediately recognize something's not right here, okay? I can tell, you know, that basically when you compare it to the other completed rounds, now it really starts to stick out there, you know, in terms of how that bullet's seated and how much that bullet is sticking out. But the problem is that if I don't check this ammo whenever I have finished loading it, what if I have somebody come to my range or whatever, and you know, there's this bin of 9mm ammo there or whatever, and you know, they're maybe not as much into firearms as I am. So, you know, they're just thinking, hey, that's 9mm or whatever. They take it out of the bin, and let's say they load it into a magazine. Okay, well, there you go. Someone, you know, that like I said, that is not as familiar with some of this stuff as we might be, they take that piece of ammo and then they go ahead and they try to load it into a firearm. Well, if that happens, probably we're going to run into some issues here with that 380 case being fired in that 9mm. What exactly happens, I don't want to know. I've seen what happens whenever people fire a 300 blackout in a 5.56. What will happen in this case with 9mm, not quite sure, but I don't want to know. Okay, now here's the thing with the case gauge. I immediately picked this out when I picked it up that something was wrong. But let's say that you don't, hey, whatever, you still haven't recognized it. But as soon as we put it into that case gauge there, boom, something's way off, okay? You can tell right there. That ain't no 9mm round, that's for sure, okay? So here's the thing. This is why I always believe that you should case gauge your ammo, especially if you are reloading in bulk. And that is, it's a way for you to manually inspect and double check your work. Case gauges basically provide another data point. If you go to install, like let's say here, we have a 9mm case gauge where we're loading 9mm. As we can see here, it fits perfectly into this case gauge. Been using this for 10 years. If it does not fit into this case gauge, then something has gone wrong. Also too, this case gauge, it checks for overall length. So for some reason, something is protruding, the bullet's protruding from the end there, then we know we've got an issue, okay? So you got a bullet protruding, the case is not fitting, then we know we've got a problem, okay? And then we can try to figure out what potentially that problem might be. So every single pistol round or 300 blackout round I load, or even some of the rifle rounds like 308, 7.62 by 51, I have case gauges and I check all of my work to make sure that, hey, everything is going good. And that way, if for some reason, whenever I'm loading this stuff up, if it so happens that that case goes ahead and falls through, where, hey, maybe I don't notice it, I'm just picking it up out of here, I go to load it into the case gauge, and yeah, that ain't no 9mm there, okay? So it's a way for you to double check your work and make sure everything is a-okay. Now, I'll tell you, I've been to a lot of IDPA and USPSA matches in my time. How many times have we been to matches where we see people that they go to shoot their stage or whatever, and they're racking a round after round after round out of their pistol. They're having constant failures and stuff. I'll ask these dudes, I'll be like, hey, do you use a case gauge? I mean, you know, like what issues are you having with your ammo there where you're having these problems where stuff won't chamber? And they're like, no, I mean, none of them. I've never had one of them say, yeah, I check all my ammo in a case gauge, you know, good to go. I don't know why it's choking on me in this pistol or whatever. No, none of them use case gauges. They just basically, you know, whatever they're doing on their presses or whatever, their ammo, they're just basically taking it and boom, loading it right into the pistol. Okay, so always double check your work. That's the way I do it, and hopefully that will avoid any sort of issues that you might have. And things like this will not be able to sneak through at the end of the day and get intermingled. Let's say right now, I'll place it right here. Okay, if someone's just looking at that just from the side or whatever, are you going to notice it? Probably even a lot of experienced shooters might not even recognize it. Okay, they just kind of look down and see a bunch of 9mm, but we have a problem there. Okay, so anyways, double check your work, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the video. And yes, 380 sucks. It's a weak cartridge, intermingles with 9mm too much. It doesn't really offer anything, any tangible benefits in my opinion. But hope you all like the video. We got some fun stuff coming up. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.